What's going on, you guys? So I wanted to do episode 2 on the game engine I'm going to use for this game. Now this is an important episode, and is an important kind of like decision to make because, if you choose a game engine that, doesn't fit the bill, it's too beginner, doesn't have the capabilities for what I have in mind for the game, I'm going to be kind of cut short, especially if you choose a development environment that uses scripting that doesn't have anything to do with the language, right? So you're going to be kind of, and what I mean by that is like there are numerous languages that you can use for programming, from Java to JavaScript. Apparently, that's becoming a thing. C++, C Sharp. There's tons of languages, and there are lower level languages that get close to machine code. Which, by the way, if you can design and code in that. I know a couple people at Apple and friends and family and actually have done that, which kind of still marvels me because damn. And then you have the higher level languages that's you kind of just tell the computer what to do. You kind of say, all right, just import this, add this to the map, and you kind of, it's almost like Lego blocks. You just have to learn the language kind of thing. So, but with higher level languages, your game won't run as efficient as you kind of were designing it down to the closer machine code level in terms of memory management, all this stuff. But ironing this out, kind of like trying to figure out where I want this game to go, because I haven't announced that. I haven't kind of told you guys what I'm going to actually design. I already have it in mind, but so what I'm planning to do with this game is not going to be like Call of Duty. It's not going to be Battlefield, right? It's going to be a game where it's going to be, I haven't decided whether it's going to be 2D or 3D, but the game is not going to require an obsessive amount of graphics. So I don't have to kind of angle in for a lower level language. I can kind of get away with a higher level language, and these game engines kind of give me that capability. So starting off with this, it has a bunch of stuff here, and as you can see, kind of breaks down. So if you're interested, this would be a good way to start on how to build a game. Apparently, you can build a game without little to no knowledge of coding, because some of these engines that I went through don't require a lot. You can actually kind of learn as you go, which, I took a computer course in college last summer, and I learned a lot about coding. I learned about variables, arrays, and if, loops, all this stuff. So I was very grateful for that. That course was probably my favorite course in college because I just opened up a whole new world. And, I can choose lower level games like this GameSalad, and there's a few other ones that you can just click and drag and kind of build the game that way. I don't want to do that. I want to kind of get like a little bit of both. I want to get a game engine that I can do a lot with, clicking and dragging, but also going behind the scenes, making rules for this actor here and, how he interacts with the world and stuff like that. So I want a little bit more control, kind of medium, the old saying that I always got is everything in moderation. If you drink too much, you're going to get a hangover. If you drink too little, well, what's the point, right? You see where I'm going, right? So let's start off with GameSalad. And we're going to kind of go over all these. There's a bunch of them. I'm probably going to skip one or two because, yeah, they don't work for me. So GameSalad here is a YouTube for gamers. From what I understand, from what I read a couple of days ago, this is, well, let's actually go for good and pros and cons here. Oh, subscription model. I didn't see that. So it's drag and drop, 50% off pro subscription. It's $25 a month. I don't like that. I don't want to pay a monthly subscription. And these are the kind of games that you can make. Now I am going to, let's take a look at this game. Let's see what, wow. Considering this is a drag and drop kind of game, which doesn't require too much, the developer was able to make a beautiful game here. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'm kind of impressed by that. Damn. Is an incredibly easy to use drag and drop program for creating 2D games that come with its own physics and simple rules you apply to objects. Wow. In fact, GameSalad even market their platform as educators want to teach students how to create games in the classroom. Wow. For a game like that, that's wow. And then let's take a look at this steampunks thing here. I kind of like, I looked a little bit at this. This is not as impressive. Looks okay. A little bit of Contra mixed with something else, but still, even making a game like this is interesting that you can do with a drag and drop kind of thing. So Build Box. This is slowly making a name for itself as the game, as the engine used for true hits in the last few years. These include dozens of games that made it to App Store top 100, such as Color Switch and The Line Zen. So, wow, okay, this application, this IDE, was used and published on the App Store. So that's really interesting. Their philosophy is to provide users with ready-made templates that you can get started with a game in minutes. However, this puts a restriction on the amount of freedom you can have and also tends to help create clones rather than original concepts. Luckily, you can take control of your game mechanics with more advanced features. This is interesting. So, from what I understand from the class that I took, you're not going to just start out, right, building with the first line of code, like, line 1 and just start coding from the ground up. You're not going to do that. You're going to get templates. You're going to take a code from other sources, like that repository, I think Stack Overflow and GitHub. You could pull code from there and it kind of build the game together like that. There's also sites, I think GitHub is a good example, is where you can take games and then kind of change things out, change some mechanics. So you don't have to start from scratch. You could take a template and just kind of go from there. And by the time you finish with your project, it could look completely different from the original template. But it's a good starting off point, And I did consider that as something that I would probably want to go down, because I don't want to start with line 1. It's very intimidating. It's kind of like if you're a writer, right, and you have a blank page. That shit is intimidating. You're looking at a blank page, like, how do I start? What's the first sentence? What's that? What A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times or the worst of times. I wonder how long it took him for sitting in front of that book, thinking, all right, it probably took him 2-3 months trying to say, it was the best of times or worst of times. Finally, it took me 3 months to pick that up, and yeah, now you got the whole rest of the book. So let's take a look at what they were able to make with this. Impossible bottle flip. That sounds interesting. Oh, it's not available. Let's look at Doopy Bird. Doopy Bird.
As a sample scene, let's say my character just discovers that her boyfriend is cheating on her.
I'm always gonna think of Princess Amidala with her. Gotta totally typecasted. Yeah, this is really, really generic. Jeez. And let's look at this one.
What is going on, people? All right, here we go.
I mean, this is a little bit more effort into it. You see some animations, more physics. I mean, it's all right. I would have to probably take a look at some of the games. Let's look at some of the pros and cons here. It's easy drag and drop interface, comes with game templates, good monetization options, exports to all platforms, so iOS, Android. Templates tend to create game clones. Well, that really comes down to, down to the developer, right? If you want to make Donkey Kong, but you want to change some of the figures like this, I mean, seriously, I guess this is what they mean by game clones. You're going to take, is that the Halo? And then you put a weird-ass looking Mario there, and yeah, it does look like well, actually, that's a different one. But yeah, you can game clone anything. So even with this ID, you can game clone many games. You could just take their thing, change some of the characters, and kind of go to town. It really comes down to the developer. So if templates tend to create game clones, those are for lazy developers. People that say, hey, I made an app, and it's on the App Store. Go buy it. It's $2. Yeah, and then you download it and it looks like another game. Yeah, you did technically make a game. You changed a few things, but did you really make a game? Did you put any effort, So I don't want to be that. I want to actually take months, if not years, to make this game, because I want it to be like my baby, So very expensive license start at $84 a month. Are you fracking kidding me? Paid yearly. Oh, that's definitely out. That is definitely out, because $84 a month paid yearly, so you have to do a one-time fee. You're looking at what, $15? Oh, man, that's gonna be I don't know, we're looking at what, between 1,000 and 1,200, somewhere around there? As a one-time fee? No, forget that. No way. That's the cost of like a computer. You can get a MacBook Air for that cost. Or, yeah. And if you hear me drinking, I'm having a nice cup of coffee. It's a little late here, so. Construct 2 is a very intuitive drag and drop for creating 2D games. The learning curve is super fast, and the interface looks a lot like Microsoft products, so it makes it ideal to a tool for PC users who have never looked at a game engine before. Sadly, there's no Mac OS version. I think I went into this and it looked like they did have a Mac OS version now. Games can only be exported as HTML5, which apparently that's becoming a thing now, making games in HTML. This means that they need to be converted with a third-party service to work as native app on Android or iOS, which comes at a cost in terms of performance. Again, I think if you're making a simple shooter like this, I don't know how much of a hit of performance that's going to take. Similarly, games can be played on Windows, Mac OS, Linux, but only in web browsers. Let's take a look at something. Oh, I like that. Sounds interesting. Whilst being naked. Okay. Well, I like the physics and animation. You got a nice little planet kind of thing. Ooh. You got a monetization option going on here. I mean, it's basic, it looks like, but I do like the physics. It'd be cool to take like a template like this and then go to town. It's kind of like that 1980s game, is it Asteroid? Where you kind of like that and shooting out asteroids kind of thing, but kind of rethought a little bit with more animations. Alright, I like that. That's pretty cool. And then let's see Airscape. What's all this all about? So as you can see, guys, this is no joke. I mean, you can do. This is the other one that I thought was kind of cool. Look at that. I mean, it's nice. It's simple, but yet it's kind of like almost like if you ever played the game Fez. It's kind of like that. You know, it's not like the basic, you know, side scroller where, you know, like Super Mario Brothers. It's kind of taking it to another level. I like that. Developers thinking outside the box. And it's a very intuitive, again, drag and drop. You don't have to you don't have to take the college course that I took. You just literally jump right into it. Going in to add behaviors, effects. I mean, you can put some work into it. It's not going to be 1, 2, 3, but it's this is nice. And then you have your assets here. And it doesn't even look like you have actor. And then from what I have to actually, before I start this game, I have to actually go through the programming stuff because it's been a year ago since, but I remember there's actors and there's, you know, there's APIs and there's a whole bunch of things to coding, but it doesn't look like any of that stuff is pretty much here. I mean, you have the assets here you can drag and drop. It's very similar to the IDE that I worked on for that class. But a lot of this is simple, like movements. You can just drag and, I'm assuming, drop right into the sprite here. And it works in essence. You basically just put in a couple of lines of code just by dragging and dropping, which is cool, but also at the same time, it's like, I feel like, I know I'm not gonna, I don't want to put it at like it's cheating. I don't feel like it's so much cheating. It's a bit of a shortcut. So I don't know how you guys feel about shortcuts. Some people, some racers are like, well, a shortcut's technically cheating, but maybe. And I think there is a Mac version of this, from what I understand, because I was going down here, I clicked buy now, or actually I clicked download. $200. Did you see that? There's a Construct 3. I know it downloaded to my downloads folder. But yeah, I remember remember seeing it here. So I remember there was a Mac version of it. Only works on PCs. I could have sworn there was a Mac version of it. It's weird that they don't actually just put down like will run on Mac's Linux. Nice. Okay, so we'll work on Mac. So must be pretty recent that they did that. So let's look at some of the pros and cons. Did I do that for the last one? Yes, I did. Okay. Fast learning curve, good community support, regular updates, free trial edition so you can get a taste of it. Starting at $80. Marketplace for extra plugins, only works on PCs. HTML5 is limiting in terms of performance and flexibility. There comes that HTML5. But HTML5 keeps getting more enhanced. There was an article I read by Stephen Hackett, I believe. I think it was Stephen Hackett. It might have been by another. I read it today, and it was talking about how HTML is becoming an increasingly great platform to develop applications and games on, which kind of surprised me. And he knows his shit in terms of programming. Click Team Fusion is the engine used by popular games such as Escapist, which is a really crazy popular game on iOS, and Five Nights at Freddy's, another hugely popular game on iOS. The amazing thing is that it's been around since '94. That means that this has been an extremely active community of super dedicated fans who submit their own extensions. There's no shortage of documentations on the forums. It uses a visual editor, so you won't need to type in any code. Oh, shit. But you will need to learn what each function is. However, if you can do the math, they release 2.5 versions over more than 20 years, and you guessed that they don't update it as often as they should. Only 2.5 versions? Okay. So, as you can see here, it's pretty simple. I think this is also available on Mac. Create a new object. Let's see, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but you can go into YouTube and see the Escapist. I was actually going to buy that game because there was crazy reviews on it, good reviews. And Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a really popular iOS game. I think they're at Five Nights at Freddy's 2 or Six Nights at Freddy's, whatever it is. But they're already on their sequels or, their third game. So drag and drop interface, exports to all platforms. Free version available. Cheap license start at $75. That's good. Dated interface. Windows version only. Paying iOS, Android, and Mac exporters. Oh crap! You gotta pay for that. Let's take a look at this. While this is loading, it's wondering why it's taking that long. There is a Mac version, if I remember, because this was on my list here. Yeah, there is a Mac version. So a lot of that article probably maybe didn't do its research because it looks like there is a Mac version. Give me 1 second. I need to grab my iPad. I'm not going to edit any of this out, so I'm tired of editing. And honestly, I really don't have the time to spend on editing. Let's see. So I wanted to actually go into this thing because I wrote down the IDEs that I want to use. There we go. So this is actually the first one that I was seriously considering. And the reason is, well, one, it has a Mac option. The other reasons is, we went over it. Little to no updates. That doesn't bother me so much, mainly because if it has a massive community behind it and they're passionate, you can find workarounds. If you post on the forums, like, how do I do this? And they help you out, that's huge. And that's basically what GitHub and Stack Overflow is too. So you have a lot of resources to kind of build these games. All right. Tons of extensions. That's always good to build up your game. Let's look at Freedom. I know what Five Nights at Freddy's looks like, so I'm not going to bother going into it. It's a really good game. This is more of a 2D RPG kind of type. Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog kind of thing. Yeah, we're not doing that. Gravity Island, let's take a look at this. So again, it's not as the other one, like the other ones. I mean, it's okay, I guess. Yeah, it's not like wow, but this was one of the games that kind of got on my radar, mainly because The Escapist and Five Nights at Freddy's. Those two games, when I saw that, I'm like, wow, if this engine was used to make those two games, and we know how popular those two games, like Five Nights at Freddy's, is a huge, well, no. The video is unavailable, but you can go on the App Store and kind of take a look at it, or go on YouTube. So RPG Maker, I looked at this. It looks very easy. It looks like it's a simple drag and drop. You can make a whole world very easily with this. Looks cool, but I'm not making an RPG, so I'm skipping that completely. Stencil is one that I've heard about in the past. It looks like it was made by MIT, developed a visual programming language called Scratch. It's a fun method to teach students how code works without overburdening them with too much technical knowledge. The way it works is more like a puzzle where you have to find the right pieces, create actions and reactions in your software. Well, Stencil is based on this model, and as such is an excellent way to create simple game without coding, but in a way that should give you understanding of how coding works. Unfortunately, it is very limited at the moment, so don't expect to build anything but a basic 2D game. I guess that was another reason why it didn't even go on my radar. Basic 2D game, I worry when people say that. You know, if you're making a game and you want a certain physics, or if you want your actor, if you want your fleet, or if you want your army to do something, right? To do a certain animation, not animation, but a certain action, and the game doesn't have the engine doesn't have the capability, and you literally wrote hundreds, if not thousands of lines of code, you're up shit's creek, because you're going to have to either rewrite the code in a different engine with a different language, or you're going to have to settle on certain things. And this is a lot, as you can see, if statements here: if this, then do that. If this, then that. And I'm not going to go song. That sounds... I mean, looks alright. Basic. Let's see what else this guy is able to do. RPGs reaching finality. What phone is it? Oh, that's the G8. Everybody's doing 3 cameras nowadays. Adding more and more.
Alright, guys. Here what we got.
It's kind of like a Zelda kind of thing. It's amazing how, like... oh, gosh. That is, like, almost exactly like Zelda. I feel like this guy just did a rip on that. Changed some of the background. Yeah, I'm not even bothering. Ready-made templates. Gee, I wonder what kind of template he utilized for that. Alright, so this is the other one. It's called App Game Kits. Now, from what I notice, as you see as we are going down, the games, well, you're going to notice the games are getting a little bit more programming intensive, a little bit more. Started from an easy, getting a little bit more harder in terms of learning, having to learn this, having to learn that. This is kind of takes a little more of a leap, because this is aimed at, oh, yeah, it sounds like it's aimed at mobile, so you can create all types of 2D and 3D games with App Game Kit. This software allows you to port to iOS, Android, PC, Macs, Linux. Like that, it's on Linux, HTML5, and Raspberry Pi. It supports a few programming languages, including the AGK2. That's where I'm kind of worried. I don't want, again, to learn a scripting language for a particular engine, because if you ever want to leave that particular IDE, go somewhere else, you're kind of like, well, I know how to do this, and you're going to have to relearn how certain commands go. Based on basic, slightly unfashionable but easy to understand syntax, ideal for beginners. You can grow as a developer with the program and learn how to use C++. That's where it kind of got me. I was like, all right, you can learn how to use the C++ as a powerful framework. This may appear intimidating to newbies, but App Game Kit is a great way to get started in the world of game development if you are serious about understanding how everything works under the hood and maybe even make money from it. So this, from when I was looking at it, I mean, you could see the code there, right? You have do, loop, you have a couple of things. So from what I see here, oh, it's on Steam. Now the biggest thing, there was a couple of big shining stars with this. I'm going to show you that in a second. The very first app, GameKit. So as you're looking at this, again, whiteboard, very intimidating. So this is definitely using the C language, C++, because that's how, from what I understand, this is how that language works out. Print, hello world, and then, yeah, loop. So that's basically the most simplest program where you just type in hello world. Hello world, there you go. So this offers a lot of flexibility. And the thing that kind of won me over is, as you can see, this is very, it's not drag and drop as you saw before, like the other ones. So it lacks that, which kind of a little worries me. I don't have that option, but I'm very interested for a couple of reasons. The first one is it pushes me to learn C++, right? And C++ is a very powerful language, which I believe I can go into. I remember I was talking to my professor after we learned the software design course that I was going through. We learned a language similar to Java. It's basically the primitive form of Java. And she basically says, what I would recommend after you learn this, we'll go in C++. And I was like, okay, so this would be perfect. Especially I'm going to be taking a C++ course this fall, so that's going to be even awesome. Damn, this video is going to be like 20-30 minutes. I don't even know where I screwed up in this video, so I'm not even going to edit this because I don't even know where I can screw it up and put time steps where I like choked or anything like that. So anyway, the couple things I wanted to make kind of like highlight here. C++ was the big one, right? The other thing is that there is an iOS app for this. Yes, I kid you not. So let's go to right here. You got App GameKit, and it works on the iPhone and the iPad. So it's an actual IDE on the mobile device. And a lot of you guys are probably saying, well, why would you want to, on such a small device, 10.5-inch display, you're going to really design a program on that? You probably want a larger screen. Yes, I do. But there are times where if I'm traveling, I have an iPad, I can continue coding. Or if I'm on lunch or I'm stuck somewhere, I can actually open up the iPhone version. Probably I'm not going to code on this, but I can go over code and, if I'm having problems with a build, I can say, oh, that's where I screwed up. I added the apostrophe or whatever. I have that capability. So, and it's free. So that's huge. And it's funny how they didn't put that in here. I consider that's a huge pro in my book. But very fast compilations, no subscription, pay once and own it forever. That's awesome. Great for nerdy, dedicated creators. Test the game on different devices thanks to their players. Easily port to plenty of platforms. Paying DLC. You got to pay out extra, but you can get paid DLCs integrated to this for some shaders and VR support. Okay, that's cool. Not ideal for artists. That's not a big deal. I can, unless you buy the visual editor for $50. Again, the visual part I'm not going to be too crazy, like go crazy about. I mean, I'm going to put in a sprite on the map, and it's going to just, I'm not making Call of Duty. I'm just going to say that. Documentation is sometimes out of date, and there's a save 60%. I'm not doing an FPS, so we're skipping that completely. And the last one that I'm going to actually cover, well, the one that I'm seriously considering, is GameMaker Studio, the Hitmaker. Why they call it the Hitmaker? Okay. What do games like Hotline, Miami, Underline, and Hyper Light Drifter have in common? haven't played any of them. Yes, they all sold millions of copies. Wow, okay, and they were all made using GameMaker Studio. This powerful, simplified code engine supports both 2D and 3D, but is most often used for 2D projects. One big advantage is that it lets you create all the assets for your game so you can quickly see how things look. Of course, you could also import them from Photoshop or anywhere else. The drag and drop interface makes it also ideal for quick prototyping, even for advanced game developers. I like that. The drag and drop part is very attractive. So as you can see, this seems like a more refined IDE, right? You got dark mode, which developers love. And then, from what I understand, this guy was doing some really cool stuff. And then you have the code that you could put in here, adding a variable. I think it's a variable, right? Because you're assigning x equals x plus 4. Or is he doing the loop? Yeah, he's doing the if statement. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it looks attractive. I like the UI a little bit better than this guy because this seems too Windowsy for me. And there is a Mac version, I'm pretty sure, unless I did not check. And in that case, I'm kind of up shit's creek, right? I don't want the. I'll probably get the Studio version. So is that the Mac version? No, that looks like. Hoping there's a Mac version of this. Could have sworn I should. Yeah, multi-platform. Develop your apps on PC and Mac devices. So yeah, I'm good there. I'm just worried that if it's, I doubt the Mac version looks like this. I'm assuming the developer kind of tailored it. I don't want to start a whole PC versus Mac argument. I don't like the way PC looks. I don't like the way the default apps look. This seems so bland to me. You know, like you have gray and it's. I understand there's gray in Mac, right? Apple uses gray, but they also use translucency, dark mode, and Mac uses a different type of gray. It's much more dominant than this. And I don't know. I'm biased. And, you know, that's okay. It's okay to be biased. You know, and I can be biased. I've worked for Apple and I've worked for Microsoft. So it's not like I'm like, well, you didn't try the Microsoft, you never tried Windows. I'm like, well, I've used Windows for 20 years and, I've worked for Microsoft. So, you can't say I didn't give them a try. By the way, both companies take care of you very well if you're an employee. Very, very well in terms of benefits and everything. So if you are thinking about either one, they both take care of you. All right. Fairly fast learning curve, free trial, decent price tiers, $99 to $3.99, one a fee, advanced features, great for artists, good marketplace, great tutorials and resources. The cons, cost extra to export certain platforms such as Android and iOS. Not fully drag and drop, so you need to learn some basic code, which is fine. Own scripting language. GameMaker language. If you need to learn how to script in GM2, you will be limited. Again, that's exactly the point that I wanted to point out before. If you learn how to script in GMST, you will be limited because you could only use you could only code in that app. So it becomes a little bit of if you just learn that language, the GameMaker language, and then you want to go somewhere else, you're kind of like, damn, I'm not making a 3D, not going to make a game like this. So, not even bother. Here come the big boys. So I told you those are the three main ones. I didn't even look at the games that they made. I've been kind of bypassing these, so let's take a look at some of the games. So it's okay. This is kind of like side scrollers. Let's look at this one. Are you serious? No. This is so basic. I mean, some of it is nice. I like some of the animations, but it seems a little basic for me. Hyper Light Drifter. I think that was the other one I was looking at. This is the, I think, Yeah, I think this is that one that sold millions of copies, I believe. It's nice. It's RPG, 2D. Nice. That's the one, right? Yeah, Hyper Light Drifter. So that's what really catches my eye when you have these IDEs that developers have already used to make really, really popular games that most people who own a phone or a desktop have played, or a lot of people. I'm not gonna say almost. And then you have these, I'm not gonna even go into that. So the last two I'm gonna cover is Unity 3D, the serious game dev platform, and then you have underneath is Unreal. I was listening to a podcast where I think it was one of the tech podcasts, whether it was Accidental Tech Podcast or it was a talk show or it might have been Analog. It was one of those tech podcasts I listened to. They were talking really highly of this, as you can see, the kind of games that they make with this Kingdom Hearts 3, Street Fighter 5. This is, you could do a lot with this. So let's start with Unity. So this is the big leagues. This is where the action happens. It's a game engine developed by Unity Technologies, targets 27 platforms, including the latest consoles such as the Switch. So that's really interesting. This San Francisco company, who started in Denmark and has 5 million registered developers. It's extremely powerful that uses flavors code. There are a number of solutions for beginners who want to use visual scripting instead. They're all paying, but should give you the tools enough to get started. Okay. Making a game in Unity. Now, since it's really popular, there is probably a lot more. I saw it. This is the one I was watching. So as you can see, this one was very attractive when I was watching this video.
Things. If you find that you get lost in the sea,
as you can see, there's a lot. And you have the final. And when he was going over this, it seemed very easy to kind of do this. It seemed very easy to kind of just design this. So Unity, although when you're looking at it, it looks a little intimidating, but when you're looking at it, it's just like, well, I can understand that. I can understand that. This, you're putting a ball this and you're putting that on there, and eventually you come out with, well, is it going to show me? Probably not. You could do lighting. I guess I'll show the end. But basically, you could do a lot of really cool stuff, and it gives you a lot of capabilities. This one, as you can see, Assassin's Creed Identity, very powerful one. Wasteland 2. I mean, like, these are triple A games in essence. So I am yeah, this is no joke.
The survivors defend their homes. And for that,
So as you can see, it's probably for a smaller developer, but it's able to create a game like Assassin's Creed, which, as you can see, right? Am I right? I mean, this is the mobile version. Is this? Identity was the mobile version, right? But still, it's Assassin's Creed, so that's huge. So let's look at the pros and cons. It's one of the best asset stores with tons of free assets. That's really, really, really attractive. Use it for free. It's another hugely attractive feature right there. You can use it for free. I'm not have to pay a dime for it until you make over $100,000 from your games. Like, that means if you want to make a game and you're not gonna, the audience you're gonna get to, or is not gonna buy in droves by the thousands. You're only gonna probably maybe sell 100 to maybe 300 copies, maybe even a few hundred more. But you only made $50,000 from the game, which is, a lot. But you didn't hit 100K, so you don't owe Unity anything. So that's a huge thing. The other ones that we were going over, you have to pay $89. The other one that we covered was like over $1,000. Now, mind you, let's say you build a game, you publish it, and 50 people buy your game, and you price it at $10. So, That's not a lot. You you literally just took a loss, you know. And I understand, you know, I'm a big proponent of like you make a game for yourself. You make a game that you love to play for yourself. But I don't, you know, if I could avoid taking a $500 loss, that would be helpful because, yeah. All right, popular with indie developers, and that's what I am. Good for learning C Sharp. That's very attractive. C Sharp is a really popular language. It's overwhelming for beginners. That's where it's kind of like, you know, kind of thing. Paid plugins to avoid scripting. Okay. Not the best toolkit for 2D games. Oh, that's another thing. As you can see, it was 3D. That video, self-centered engine. Unity users really can't apply their skills anywhere else. Okay, interesting. Another hugely powerful engine, Unreal, was used to create AAA games such as Deus Ex. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Deus Ex. That's the way I usually pronounce it. BioShock. Wow. Borderlands and Final Fantasy VII, the remake. As you can see, is a trusted platform with a focus on spectacular graphics and lighting fest that is trusted by big companies and developers alike. Of course, you will need a team of developers to complete big projects like the one mentioned above. A big team of developers. Well, yeah. But one advantage is that Unreal comes with a beginner friendly solution called Blueprint that lets you get started without any coding knowledge. Seriously? Let's take a look at this thing, man. Creating a 2D side scroller. Okay, so it's kind of like the other one that we were looking at. Has a nice UI.
What we want to do is make sure that our game is actually using our dude. So let's go up to settings, and we'll turn on our world settings. You'll see this panel popped over onto the side here. And we want to look at the game mode. So currently, we are using the... I'm going to go ahead and say save as. And to our new folder there, we'll just call this level... actually, I'm selecting it.
What the heck happened on his computer right here? Let's see that.
Start and some environment art as well. We'll take a look at in a second. We don't really need to look at tutorials. All right, so what had happened there is you can actually drag and drop assets into the browser, which is what I typically do. But since I'm working on one screen, I went to import and basically imported it twice. Anyway. All right, so here's our sprite. It's basically texture at this point. So if we go ahead and open this up, zoom in here, you can see we have our character art, and it looks a little...
I wonder if you could pull the
and the reason that
specific ones right out.
It's such a low res because we are doing a low res 8-bit style game, and we've got bilinear filtering going on, and also if I zoom in here, you'll see things are nice, and we have that nice hard edge going on. And the reason that is because
yeah, you could pull it right out. I mean, this looks like a really powerful IDE. You could transform the sprite there.
So we've decided on our final resolution, but the actual editor window.
I mean, this is powerful.
This is the directional light in the scene.
And lighting, that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing for the game that I'm thinking about making is lighting. Because I want a physics capability it's not going to be simple. Right? It'll be really awesome if I could set up a light source in one part of the map, and whatever objects or actors that are kind of not gonna I'm gonna save that for a future video, but that are kind of surrounding that light source, they kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? The light hits it and kind of has that nice effect. Alright guys, so apparently for some reason the video and audio just literally cut out right after that last sentence I spoke. For some reason, I don't know why, the computer just stopped recording the video and stopped recording the audio, and every time I try to salvage the video, convert it, all these things, it just basically said it was corrupted, which is kind of odd because I didn't corrupt the first 40 minutes, which is really weird. The only thing I came out with was that research I came out with was that because I'm recording on a Retina display, that it might have overburden the computer. It might overwhelm the GPU and the CPU, which I find really, I don't know, I can't believe that really, mainly because if it's good for the first 40 minutes and all I'm doing is screen recording, I'm not actually running a game, anything CPU intensive. The GPU, yeah, it's recording a 4K display, but seriously? So I don't know. Anyway, so coming off that, when I went over Unreal, and I kind of, the last day or so, this is the night after, I've been thinking about it. I'm just kind of, a couple of things that the Unreal Engine, even though it's capable of making games like this, Batman, Kingdom Hearts, I've been kind of like, I don't know, mainly because it's heavy and demanding on performance, which is not that big of a deal because the 2D game that I'm making is not going to be, it's harder to pick up than Unity. And if you go into the cons of Unity, it's overwhelming for beginners. So if that's overwhelming for beginners, I can only imagine what Unreal is going to look like. And I understand they have that blueprint thing, built-in beginner solution. But yeah, Marketplace is not as full as Unity's, and it's a royal-based payment system. Now, it is free to use until a game makes a profit. However, unlike Unity, which is not going to charge me until I make 100K, this one, if I make $5, they're going to want a share of that. So that's another con there. So I think I'm going to stay away from Unreal, even though it is very alluring with Unreal because it's just, I mean, it seems like a very powerful engine, and I mean, it's clean design. I do like it's almost like a dark mode kind of thing, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know. At the same time, I'm just kind of hesitant. So going back to the original ones that I was talking about, I was kind of going over them the last day. And in the video that I ended yesterday, which got cut off, I mentioned that I was going to basically go through these three and download the engine and kind of play around with it. So before I did that, I kind of first went to click Team Fusion, and I tried to find like a demo for it. Couldn't find it. Apparently, they don't have a demo for you to try. You have the version that you can buy, because there's no demo. There's just, you just gotta buy it, you know. Now, when you buy it, check this out. I'm not getting the 2.5 version. I have a Mac, so that one is $100, the 2.5 one. Now, if I want the developer version, which has more, it's going to be around $399. I think the developer Mac version is $399 too. So it's expensive. It's no joke. It's $399. There is no trial. You just have to bite the bullet, hope it works out. And I'm kind of worried about that. I would really like kind of a demo, if not give me something similar to what Unity has, you know. So I'm kind of hesitant in that aspect. So it's still on the drawing board. It's still there, but all right. So the next one that we were talking about earlier was App Game Kit. So App Game Kit has that iOS version that we were talking about earlier. It has the iPhone and iPad version, so if I'm on the go, I could actually look over my code on my mobile device and kind of seeing if there's any failed builds and kind of going over that, which would be really helpful while I'm on the go or traveling or something like that. The thing I was kind of going over this, and the thing kind of like that left a bad taste in my mouth was that what was this? It's $80, right? I have to buy the App Game Kit IDE for $80. But then I was going through their website. I didn't see any marketplace where I could buy sprites and you know, graphics and things like that, or fonts. So the only place that I did see it is on their store here, and I have to actually go to the bottom here. You have a giant asset pack here. You have to buy your assets in one big packet. The only problem is like, if I want to make like a space game, I'm limited to these two guys, which are basically the same guy, just in different colors. So when they say 2,000 sprites, yeah, but that's really, you know, like seriously? I mean, that's what, 3, 6, 7, 14, 21, 28 sprites of the same guy in different poses, and then double that, and it's just the same guy just in red. I mean, I'm not gonna pay $20 for, you know, like literally 50 or 60 of those assets being the same guy in a different color. You know, it's just, and I don't see an actual marketplace for that. And then the other thing is, you know, to buy from users. The other thing is like if I want to drag and drop compatibility is like where I could drag and drop and develop like a, you know, a UI kind of thing. I have to pay $50 for it, where I can, you know, start developing my, you know, scenes and stuff like that. I'm gonna have to pay $50 on top of $99, and then I have to pay $20 on top of that, at minimum of $20, because I'm probably gonna have to get more packets or find other places on the web to do that. So it's kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth at that point. And there is no demo version that I can buy because, well, actually there is a free trial here. All right, so there is a free trial. All right, well, at least they have a free trial. I'll give you that. But at the same time, it's just, you know, those things kind of just are needed. You know, I'm paying almost close to $200 for all that. So, going to the next one is GameMaker Studio 2. Now, as soon as I got linked to Yo-Yo Games, I was kind of looking at it. I was like, why does Yo-Yo Games look familiar? I know I ran into them before. And from what I remember, they kind of didn't leave a good taste in my mouth, you know? They just didn't. And, you know, I don't know what it was, but I remember years ago something happened. I don't know what it was, but I remember just something didn't work out. But besides that, their marketplace is, they do have a marketplace, so I'll give them that, where I can individually go and, you know, say I want a background. I can go in here and say, all right, well, I can get a tile pack or a background and stuff like that. And some of them are free, some are paid. A lot of them seem generic, though. I mean, like, something like this is not very alluring. You know, just, yeah, not very alluring. You know, just, yeah, not there. But the other thing about it is like, looking at it, look, I mean, there's 89 backgrounds, there's 160 of those, there's 20 fonts. So there's not a lot there. The community is not as rich and fleshed out as I would like it to be. So that's something that, you know, is kind of getting, you know, a little bit of a problem there. And also, you know, it's $39, but I'm definitely going to go for the developer version, or probably even to the console versions. I want to publish to Xbox One and PS4, then at $99 to $400, depending on which one I take. Again, that's a big investment. So going to the last one here, I'm just adding this at the last minute because I've been thinking about this the last day, is Unity. Now, the reason I was kind of going back to Unity, circling around, is because it's free as long as you don't exceed 100K per year. That is very alluring. A free version of Unity for beginners, as long as you don't exceed 100K, which, you know, if I make $80,000 and, you know, that's a great profit, I don't have to give Unity anything. I mean, I'll throw them a bone and stuff like that, but, you know, that's really alluring. I could download the whole IDE right now for free. That's huge. And then when you go into their asset store, look at this. You have 6,645 assets for the 2D. As you can see, there's a lot that are free. You have 29,000 3D assets, 2,538 templates. So, yeah, there's a lot here. And because Unity is such a massively used IDE, there's a massive community behind it. There's going to be tons of YouTube videos about it in terms of tutorials. So, yeah, I'm leaning a lot toward Unity. I'm not making my final decision right now because, again, Unity is overwhelming for beginners. That's kind of, you know, not the best toolkit for 2D games, and you have to pay plugins to avoid scripting. It's another thing. But considering that it made Rust, it's Assassin's Creed's identity, I think that's that mobile version. It's very alluring, much more alluring than this, much more alluring than that. And the only one that kind of makes me kind of hesitate is this Click Team Fusion 2.5, mainly because it's made these two really popular mobile games. A lot less of a learning curve, but again, I have to invest $100. Oh, there is a free version available, but still, cheap license started at $75. But at the same time, if I want to actually get into it, it's much more. The community is less on this one. So in terms of assets, I'm probably gonna have to make most of them my own. Also, I'm gonna have to pay for it. So if I want something to actually publish, you know, I doubt the free version is going to be able to cover that. I'm going to have to pay something at least $75 to $100. So it's going to require an investment. So probably the next time we're going to have this conversation, the next episode, I'm probably going to have Unity IDE on my Mac. And then I'm going to go from there. If Unity I feel is going to be too overwhelming, I'll just go down to this guy here and just go from there. But for right now, I think Unity is too, that's the word I'm looking for, too tempting, too alluring to pass up. So I'm just going to put in the work, just grind out the work, try to study, try to just go through it. Basically contact my college professor, see if I can, you know, ask them for some feedback. And before I close out this video, I want your feedback. Okay, if I want your feedback on what game engine do you think I should use? You know, do you know another game engine that I'm not aware of that you think would fulfill my needs? Also, let me know what you think. Should I choose Unreal? Should I go to Click Team Fusion? Should I give the other ones a chance? Let me know what your feedback is. I would really appreciate it. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you then.